Hey everybody, today I'm going to go over the Backbit NEOGEO MVS Platinum cartridge. It's a flash cartridge for your NEOGEO. I already did a little video on unboxing it, but this is really for those of you that are interested in getting it or already have it or it's on order and it's coming your way. I'm going to show you kind of how to set it up. So this is my SD card. It's called Backbit, and I've got 3 folders. Let me go ahead and put it in list view, but I created 3 folders because you can organize your games. You do have to have that NEOGEO folder, and then within the folder, if you can make separate folders to organize your stuff. So here I have shooters, and I have some NEOGEO shooters in there. Official, which is basically all the official games, but there's probably some in there that aren't supposed to be there. But it's just an example. And then I have a homebrew section there with some games there. But that's one option. Another option for you is just within the NEOGEO folder, just dump all your games in there. But as you can see that they all are folders, so it's basically all your games that are unzipped in a folder structure. But we're going to talk a little bit about setting up decrypting files and updating your firmware, things like that. So I do have a firmware folder that I made. You don't have to do that. I'm just doing it to organize my stuff. This is the Backbit forums, and this is where you're going to find everything I have. I'm going to link that in the description so that you can get there, sign yourself up if you're interested in this cartridge. In the frequently asked questions, this is where you're going to get all the information that you need. Your decryption tool, firmware, a link to all the firmwares, which is right here. I'm going to go ahead and get the latest firmware, which is 0.9.3 or .9.3. And here's all the different revisions. Kind of explains what each of them do and what just the change log, I guess, right? When I got my cartridges around that 0.7.7, and I gave some feedback about the Eye of Typhoon, how it wasn't working like on Darksoft, and Evie got it working, so that's kind of good news that it's working great without any glitches and stuff like that, so that's kind of cool. So I'm just going to put it in the firmware folder just because I'm organizing my stuff or whatever, but you don't have to do this. What you do have to do is unzip that file, because you need the raw file, that platneog.upg. And I'm creating another window just so you can kind of see the process. So what you want to do is basically drag that file into the root of your SD card, and whenever you're going to update the firmware. And that's pretty much it. I have the NEOGEO folder, and the NEOGEO folder has to be capital N, little e, little o, capital G, little e, little o. And then with my games are in there. If you have folders, set that up. But now these are all the games that you need to decrypt. There's a whole list of them in the forum. That was just like a quick. If you want to pause, you can. But that was just like a quick flash of just all the games. But in the frequently asked questions, there's actually a list of all the games that are there. I think it's like 23 games, 24 games. I think there's like a total of 148, 150 games in the NEOGEO library. So it's a very small amount. All your other games that don't need this decryption, all you do is basically unzip your ROM, and that's what you put into the SD card. But here we're going to actually decrypt 3 games, 3 examples, 3 of the games that are required to have this decryption done. And these are just from a MAME set. I am going to unzip all the games so that the decryption tool can actually go into the folders and do its magic. I don't think it does a zipped file, so just do it this way. So now I just have my 3 folders there and the NeoDecode the decryption tool. What I'm going to do here is do a new terminal in this folder. Just makes it a little easier. But just in case, I am going to take a look at what's in that folder. Just make sure I did it right. I mean, it says it right there, but so there it is. There's my my folders, the Garo folder, MSlug3, SamShow5, or SamShow5 SP. I'm going to go ahead and run the NeoDecode and drag the folder that the ROMs are in, or that I want it to decrypt. And just a quick look at all the files. And there's a lot of excessive files in these MAME sets because it includes like the BIOS files and things like that. You don't need any of that. What you really need in your MAME set is just the numbered ROMs. So like the 253, that coincides with Garo. So 253, all those files. Metal Slug is 256. So all of those files are the important ROM files that the decryption tool is looking for. SamShow 5 SP special is 272. And take a look at that because it's going to create new files once I run this decryption tool. So I'm good to go. Hit enter, and now it's just going through its thing, doing its magic, and it's done. Imagine if you had all the games in there, it would take a little longer, but not much. That was pretty fast. So now let's take a look at the folders, and as you can see, the files are still there. Nothing really changed, but there are a few new files. So look at these that are from today at 8/21, right? Those 4 files, those are the ones that the decryption tool created. Those are the files that the cartridge is going to be looking for in order for it to launch your game. It needs those files, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. Here's Metal Slug 3 with those 4 new files. Samurai Showdown 5 Special has some extra files because some of the decryption involved the sound ROMs also. In this particular case, it's a fix because there was an issue with, I guess, MAME decryption. I don't really know the whole scoop on that, but MAME decryption's a little off when it comes to the VROMs, or the sound files. But anyways, it's fixed and it'll work. The main issue was when you load up a character Basara, and when it says Basara, there's like a little scratchy sound. Basara, like it makes a scratchy sound. And it just fixes that. It's really not that big a deal. It doesn't affect the entire game or anything like that, but it's cool that it's playing as it should, right? That's the whole point. So there you go, man. You have all your files. So what I'm doing here is just changing the folder, the names of the games, right? And so it doesn't just coincide with the MAME ROM set. So it'll show up nice on the menu. So you're going to want to, consider that. That might be the little bit of extra work that you have to do when you're setting your stuff up. Just going in there and renaming your folders to something more presentable in your menu. So this is all set up, ready to go. You can have parentheses, long titles. Here I was comparing before the fix and after the fix just to kind of see if it worked. But yeah, it works. And there are the files there. So I'm just showing you here that I'm not moving over the new ones that I made because that was just an example for you. I already have that set in my SD card. But it is the same files. So we're just going to go ahead and get out of that. And there you go. You got your firmware, your folder set up with your games and your firmware file. You're good to go. So we're going to go ahead and take that over to the cartridge and get started. Any minute now. Okay. There we are. So there's the cartridge and the SD card. I'm just going to snap it in there or slide it in, lock it in place. Turn on the device and take a look at the cartridge. It will flash like a hatch screen on your screen initially, but it'll reboot. Green is good and red is done. So it just cycled through the entire firmware update and it's done. And now it'll get you to your menu. So this is the menu. Like I said, it's pretty simple. It's a pretty basic menu, which is great because, that'll get you into your games faster instead of you looking at, flashy game art and things like that. You just, get into the game and start playing. This is just an example of, launching, 2020 Super Baseball. I think it happened pretty quickly, right? And you can exit the game back to your menu. There's a hotkey that you can select to do that. I think I have CD plus start. So now we're going to go to some of the options. Up above, you can see you have A, B, C, and D. So A on the, not A, but B on the game are your options, and you can verify and load or auto start on boot. Verify and load is kind of redundant because basically it'll check the ROM and see if it's good to run, and if it does, it'll load it up. But you'll find that out if you try to launch the game and it doesn't launch, so something's wrong, right? So auto start on boot's kind of cool though, because if there's this particular game that you always want to come on when you turn on your device, your cabinet or whatever, you can set it up that way too. Here I'm pushing C, which is your group folders. and it'll cycle through all the different folders that you have set up. So here are my shooters. And you can do the same options that are there. And continuing to hit C will get you cycle through the rest of the menus, or the rest of the folders. Now, I forgot to mention too that whatever you dump into your folders, your main menu will always show all the games. Every single game that you have within those folders, it'll just show up in your main menu. And then holding or pushing down C will get you into your individual folders quickly. So menu hotkey is how to return back to your menu. You can set that up. The eye catcher is basically your NEOGEO BIOS screen. Force reset, 1 slot only. I have a 1 slot, so I don't mess with that. Menu sound, it'll make little tick sounds if you have it on. I don't like it. It's annoying, so I just turn it off. But here I'm going to load 2020 Super Baseball so you can see it without the NEOGEO startup. So as you can see, it just went straight into the game. Now I'm going to go back into my options, and I'm going to do yes, or not in menu, I guess. So not in menu means just basically that when you boot up the cartridge, you don't get the splash screen. And I'll show you that. I'll demonstrate that. But now you get the NEOGEO splash screen because I hit not in menu. That's basically saying yes, but not in menu, right? So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this. And then I think I'm going to put yes. So here I'm going to load the game up again just to show, I guess, that it should load the NEOGEO BIOS, right? So there it is. So that remains the way it was. But now I'm going to go and turn off the system because I selected yes. So now I'm going to see the cartridge's eye catcher. That's what it's called, the eye catcher. And as you can see, it's the the Backbit in the form of the NEOGEO BIOS startup, or the NEOGEO startup, I guess. Now the wait states, I don't really know too much about that, but it describes all that in the frequently asked questions in the forum. So just definitely, I'm going to refer you to that and check the link, join up, and all that stuff. But now I'm just going to go ahead and launch some games, just to show how quickly they are. So this is all real time. There's not going to be any edits here. Just so you can kind of see how long it takes, to actually run a game. So this is Garo, which is one of the main games that supposedly takes the longest. I think it's like 11 seconds at the most. I don't know. It's not that bad. I don't have other flash cartridges to compare, but from my understanding, this is a lot faster. And the process for those other cartridges, you have to basically flash them into like a memory slots or something, or their own cartridge slots. And then those will load up instantly, right? Really quick. But if you want to go past 4 or 5 games, then you're going to have to remove them from memory and flash another game in there. And that process takes a while, well over 11 seconds, right? So you can correct me in the comments, but from what I've seen, it's a pretty long process. So if you want to really just kind of get in and get out of a game and not worry about which games you're screwing around with, I think that process takes a lot longer on other cartridges. Darksoft cartridges are not readily available. NeoSD and NeoSD Pro, I think, are. There's another flash cartridge out there I wouldn't even call it a flash cartridge. It's a flashed cartridge that has like the entire NeoGeo library, which is awesome. I think that's cool, and it loads instantly, which is great. But you don't have the flexibility of adding homebrew demos or new games that might come out in the pipeline. Like for example, you have that cartridge, but then you have all those Hoffman releases, Shinobi and Golden Axe, right? Or even his demo. You can't try them, at least not on that cartridge, because it's just pre-flashed with all those games. It's awesome that it has the entire library, which makes sense. That's what you want, but I think this one's kind of cool because it has that flexibility of changing things out and adding new things, and keeping it relevant, or just trying new things out, which is cool. But yeah, there I am, getting in and out of some games, and it's pretty quick. And you don't have to worry about which games you have flashed in your memory or whatever. But again, correct me if I'm wrong on my understanding on how those other cartridges work. And this isn't like get this instead of that, but for those of you that are thinking about this cartridge, here's a little bit more of a demonstration of it. Those of you that have ordered it and it's on its way, well, here's a video that'll show you kind of like how to get ready for it. Prepare yourself, And this isn't to dissuade you or to make you not want to get a NEOSD Pro or a NEOSD. This is just for those of you that have already decided on getting this or really thinking hard about getting this particular cartridge. It works great. I haven't had any issues with it. I haven't tested every single game, but every single game that I've tried that I want to play has launched and runs great. No issues. What I'm using is an MV1C. Okay, so here we go. I'm doing that auto start on boot for last resort. Basically what you got to do is you launch the game. Once you select that, it'll launch the game. But if you exit to menu, it'll erase that option. What you got to do is basically turn off your cabinet. Right, it's off. And when you turn it back on, it should load to that game. But as soon as you exit to the menu, use the hotkey to exit to the menu, it erases that option. So this is one of those things where, I just want to play Last Resort for this week, right? You play it and turn off your cabinet, turn it back on, it'll automatically, it's like if you just have that game on your cartridge, right? So that's kind of cool. But yeah, this is it. I just wanted to show you, demonstrate like kind of some of the features and all that stuff. And hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if you're thinking about getting one. If I screwed something up about the NEOSD and other cartridges, let me know in the comments too. But as always, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.